Hello and welcome to Movie Buff's Quick Pump, a mini show where I hold court in the street and break down the best action movies of all time. I'm your host, Shani B. You can find me on all the socials at It's Me, Shani B. Today, I'm talking about the 2000 film Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, directed by Ang Lee and starring Michelle Yeoh, Zhang Ziyi, Chang Chen, and Chow Yun Fat.
America's top critics agree Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is everything we go to the movies for. Exhilarating, visually stunning, spectacular, romantic, fantastic, visionary, filmmaking magic, the best movie of the year. Chow Yun Fat, Michelle Yeoh, and Zhang Ziyi. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
If you haven't seen it, it's about a young warrior who steals the sword of a Wadong master and falls in love with a mysterious mountain man. It premiered in the US in the year 2000, and it got its official release date in the year 2001 on January 12th. It premiered against Save the Last Dance, another very important film of the early 2000s, and alongside Traffic, Castaway, What Women Want, and Miss Congeniality. So again, the theater is stacked in the year 2001. I love it. It was made for 17 million and it grossed a total of 217 million worldwide. I am a total Fanny B. This movie was kind of a blind spot for me. I'm sure I watched it in parts or something like that when I was a kid, but I definitely couldn't have appreciated it the way that I do today without kind of revisiting it for its anniversary. We covered the 2016 sequel a while back on Movie Buffs Proper, which is also dope. But, returning to this movie, oh my gosh, it's so good. I mean, obviously, when you've got Ang Lee in charge, the filmmaking is going to be tight. He played with frame rates, he used thoughtful inserts, and he brought in amazing grand landscapes. I mean, the visuals, the production design, the color is so rich and textured. It's proper screenwriting, which is so important to me. It's got an A and a B story that's taking place. Amazing sound, because we know, of course, that I've got to have a stellar score if I'm going to like your movie. I like the classic story of it all, sort of, be a warrior, please your family, fulfill your cultural identity, and also fall in love. Zhang Z being kind of the lead there is really fun because, of course, you've got that B storyline going on with Chow and with Michelle Yeoh. But it's just fun to sort of see the classic story being told with a female warrior in this one, which I really, really love. The performances are great. I mean, everyone fits very seamlessly into their characters, and they make the heightened reality feel really grounded and authentic. Obviously, this movie is memorable for having kind of fantastical stunts. But these actors do such a good job of bringing it to the ground and making it feel like you're kind of right there with it in this real world that they're in. Michelle Yeoh, of course, is ballin' like always. She's so good at the fight choreography. The way that she kind of teases out Z's reflexes by pretending to spill her tea reminds me of the apple shot in Twilight, which is so fun. So many movies, as I was rewatching this, I felt like, oh, wow, these filmmakers have to be inspired by this. Chow Yun Fat is so smooth, as always, kind of having a really interesting relationship to his choreography, the fight choreography, because it's really telling the story of him being a master. Everything looks effortless. He's always fighting kind of like with one arm behind his back. Like, he doesn't need to use full strength. It's very, very cool. I love how when he's fighting, the way that he kind of defends himself is just sort of like, shoot, 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 shoot. Again, with the frame rates, so fun. I love, how when the darts are coming, they sort of set you up to be like, these darts are, no match for him. Pretty much nothing is a match for him throughout. The weird ribbon she uses in one of the fights is so cool. But he just looks so great. And I love him sort of as like a master in this one, which is really, really fun. And then, of course, we've got Zhang Ziyi, who is in the lead role here and who, total pun intended, like flies onto the scene, holding her own in this movie, totally carrying the weight of it on her shoulders, because before this, she hadn't done much. And she just really is able to hold everything. Her fight movements are next level. She's so graceful. She kind of looks like a ballerina even in certain times, which makes me think of, Patrick Swayze's amazing patented sort of dance fighting that is very badass in American movies. And she just looks so badass in this. Like, everything she does is so cool, so smooth and really gnarly. um, the dynamic between her and the love interest Low, it's a little like Taming of the Shrew and a little Tarzan meets Jane vibes. I don't love when couples have to sort of fight their way towards love. That's always a strange dynamic for me personally. But you know, it kind of works here. They have good chemistry. It's clear they really love each other, but they're both maybe fighting against the need to want or need another person. You know, like her as a warrior, Z is like actively wanting to kind of be on her own. It seems like she feels like everybody wants something from her. You know, the witch wants to kind of harness and use her powers. Her family wants her to marry for prosperity. You know, this guy in the desert wants her to be his partner. Even Chow wants her to be a student, and it just feels kind of like everyone wants something from her. So I do feel like that gets manifested in the romantic relationship, which is cool. I just don't love that. But yeah, the performances here are so good, and it's always great when you see a movie with good casting where it feels like, you know, authentically these people kind of are the people they're playing. And I think it's got to be even harder when you're going to do a movie this stunt heavy with with so much choreography, fight choreography, and then ultimately so much wire work to get into the stunts and everything like that. I mean, it's just so innovative. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. Obviously, the wire work is the most memorable type of stunt work in this film. I think everyone, when they think of this movie, they immediately remember the amazing wire work. I mean, it still looks so good. I don't think any other movie will come close or has come close to comparing. It's truly amazing. You know, they're flying across rooftops, they're bouncing and fighting on tree limbs and bamboo, walking on water. It's so wild. It's like totally mind blowing when you're watching it because it all looks so smooth and so real. I mean, it is real. You know, they truly are on these rooftops. They truly are being lifted through the water. They truly are fighting on top of trees. Totally wild. The hand to hand, of course, is also fantastic. The sword fighting sequences look so good. You know, the frame rate just accentuates all of this stuff, and I love that. And this movie even has horseback riding in it. It's got pretty much all the stunts you're supposed to have. Some of the sequences that really stand out to me are when I think my favorite is when Zi's kind of off on her own and she sort of goes to like a bar restaurant situation. She's doing her own thing, but dudes are giving her trouble. And this is another thing too, where like, you know, she is tired of seeing kind of like as an object for men in one way or another. And so this scene is just really fantastic because she just takes everybody on in the spot. She beats everyone up. They're all bruised when they go, you know, to tell the tale of what had happened. The way that she's flying through this set is amazing. She does like a twirl kind of up to the second floor. She's all over the place. And it just, again, looks so cool. It's like, how can she do all this? How did they film all this? I just keep asking myself that question when I'm, you know, with each sequence, I am more in awe just of how they got it done. And that restaurant sequence in particular reminds me a lot of kind of the yellow suit sequence from Kill Bill, right? We covered Kill Bill last year. And I just feel like it's insane to remember and recognize, you know, all movies are kind of feeding into each other because that scene really obviously plays up the blood and the violence, but the gracefulness, the desire to kind of move through a space like this, the wire stuff, this movie truly influenced it for sure. Another great thing to take note of is, you know, there are multiple fight scenes between Yo and Z, just like there are between Z and Chow. And it's just so fun because when she's fighting Michelle Yeoh, there is really precise filmmaking around them, making their fight look like smooth and kind of thrilling, which is cool. During that first hand-to-hand exchange, there's like a couple pieces of slow-mo that are really there to accentuate kind of the choreography and also the, you know, style of fighting they're doing, the wadung. I think I'm saying it right, I hope. And it just looks amazing, you know, to have that thoughtfulness in the fighting and the filmmaking. It really excites me as like a lover of film. That they're kind of flying up the wall, they're sort of on the wall, sideways fighting, which is amazing. When they have the sword fight later, their swords are sparking. You know, like it's just everything is so exciting in this and moving at a pace that is both natural but also kind of amplified, and I love it. And I particularly love during one of their fights when Z sort of pushed back and she kind of throws her leg up against the wall behind her to stop her. It just looks like so, it's such a slick move to show off, that she's got the splits, but it also fits into the story of this scene, which is cool. And then, of course, the matchups that she's having with Chow, sort of like in the beginning, uh, are cool, and the end are cool. But I think obviously the most mind blowing scene in the entire movie is the treetop fight. I mean, they are chasing each other through the trees somehow. The wire work is seamless because you can't really see it. And sure, you can tell that they're like trying their best to balance on these trees, but that kind of feels real too. It's just unbelievable, that scene when you see it. And I feel like I was getting so excited watching it, being like, I kind of remember this, but I also don't really remember this. Like, what's going to happen? What does it mean? How's it all going? And so it was just really thrilling to kind of watch those sequences. I mean, for a 25-year-old movie, it really holds up. It stays entertaining. It still has a great story. The execution is next level. And so if you haven't seen this movie, it definitely deserves a watch. If you have seen it, you got to go back and rewatch it. Now is the time on its little anniversary. But I'm so glad that, this is the first movie I'm going to kick off 2025 with to cover, because it's just a great reminder that even though January is a real dumpuary kind of month for many movies, a lot of the time, occasionally there are just some serious gems in there. And this one is a great example of that. Just so, so good. And so, yeah. All right. That wraps it up for me. So you never miss a rep. Make sure to follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at We Stay Buff, and on Twitch at The Buffs. Bulk up and subscribe to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. And don't forget to leave a positive review. 5 stars is the dream. And of course, you can follow me personally on all the socials at It's Me, Shani B. All right. Thank you for listening to Movie Buff's Quick Bump and breaking down the 2000 film Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'll be back in 2 weeks to cover Kingsman: The Secret Service. Until then, stay buff.